Oh, man.
Hi.
Hi.
We're back.
We're back. Indeed.
And, yes, and we are going to read a fabulous story for you today. Sadly, the story is not finished, but I have the feeling you won't really give a damn about how it ends anyway, so... Okay, so, this is a DS9 fanfiction, and it is called The One That I Am With Is... ... by Severus Potter Snape.
Well, that's an interesting name. This is another one that I haven't read, that Katie has.
Yes.
And
the title is great, is it not?
It's got some great syntax in it.
Yeah, what does that even mean?
Alright, so the summary... Should I read the summary?
Sure.
Alright. Julian's old lover comes to Deep Space Nine and trouble blooms as old feelings come forward and new feelings comes forward for the exiled Cardassian. I didn't think that's how you spelled Cardassian.
Yeah, it is.
Weird. I've never seen it written. Anyway. How will Julian deal with this situation?
Okay, so this is a Bashir / Garrick story, which is awesome because I love both characters, but this story is terrible. Obviously, or we wouldn't be reading it. Let us begin.
It was a beautiful and quiet day on the station of Deep Space Nine. In fact, there was nothing to do since Starfleet overtook Deep Space Nine from the Dominion. Julian Bashir was indeed, in fact, bored as hell in the infirmary. He wanted to leave his infirmary and see his lover, Elam Garrick, in his shop instead. The two have been together for almost 2 years now. Tense change. Alright, perfect. Julian smiled... Oh, now we're back to past tense. Julian smiled at the memory as he remembered what happened after the holosuite incident that involves 5 senior staff.
Okay, so this person has some problem with tenses and also with sentences that are magnificent, like, Julian Bashir was indeed, in fact, bored as hell.
Don't need indeed and in fact.
Or Julian smiled at the memories he remembered what happened. Alright. Julian sighed and stretched as he looked at the computer console in front of him. His nurses were gone for the day, and he was alone in the infirmary. He was trying to read a research paper in front of him, but the quietness got into him. He was about to turn off the computer console in front of him when a voice interrupted him. He was so engrossed of being bored that he didn't even hear the doors opening and closing.
If you're bored, wouldn't you notice?
Yeah, you'd think.
Alright. Dr. Bashir, I presume? A voice asked.
Julian was familiar with that voice, and he looked to see a man standing there with a smile on his face. Garrick, what are you doing here? Julian asked happily, and like a happy child, he got out off his chair and went to embrace him. Okay, and so this is the introduction of what is wrong with the story. I mean, one of the many things. The fact that this original character is the same name as the canon character Garrick, except it's spelled differently, so you're never going to have any idea who we're talking about.
I'll just roll my R's for this Garrick, because he has 2.
Yeah.
And the real Garrick has 1. Alright. Garrick Williams is a black-haired man who is a little bit older than Julian. He was 33 to be exact, and oh my gosh, I don't think I can do this. Okay.
Yes, you can.
He was 33 to be exact, and he is a lieutenant of command. He met Julian Bashir.
That.
What?
Lieutenant of command.
He met Julian Bashir in Starfleet Academy. There the two became lovers for 2 years, and Julian broke it off because he caught Garrick with another man.
I hate the word lovers. Okay. I'm on vacation. Garrick. I can't roll my eyes. Replied with a smile. I wanted to go somewhere, and with all the buzzing of news being Deep Space Nine back home, I decided to come here and see you.
What does that even mean?
He explained. How are you, Julian? I haven't heard from you for a long time, he said.
I've been busy here on the station, Julian replied as he looked around and he saw the time. It was now 12:45, and he usually has lunch with Garrick, normal Garrick, real Garrick, at 1300. Do you want to have lunch at the Replimat? We have a lot to catch up on, he said.
Oh, why are his nurses off for the day when it's only 12:45?
Because nothing's happening.
I guess, but you don't just let people leave the hospital when nothing's going on. Okay. What about the infirmary, Garrick? Asked uncertain.
Uncertain. Adverb?
Uncertain.
I hadn't had a patient for 4 hours now. Until now. Julian replied with a shrug. I'm sure that the infirmary could do without me for a while. And that's when there's like a huge accident and
everyone's gonna die, dude. You can't leave.
And if they do need anything, they would just call me, he added.
Well, Dr. Bashir, I think it's time to show me around the station, Garrick said with a smile.
I'm just gonna keep doing that. It's gonna sound really
Makes
dumb.
me happy.
Alright, follow me, Julian said happily, and the two men left the infirmary, and Julian began his tour at the promenade. That's Quark's over there, he said as he gestured to the bar in front of him. It's crowded and noisy usually, but you can use the holosuite there if you can afford it, Julian explained.
If you can offer it.
Oh, offered it.
Do you go there all the time? Garrick asked.
Whenever Miles... Oh god, Miles. Is there a thing where Julian and Miles use the holosuites?
Yeah, there is. They do it
okay.
all the time on the show.
Whenever Miles and I have the free time to use the holosuites, Julian explained, the Replomat is just over there. Julian gestured, and he could already see Garrick sitting at their usual table as he waited for him.
Do you trust the Cardassian, Julian? Garrick asked as he spotted Garrick.
Yes, Julian said, nodded. He is my friend and my lover.
Stop saying lover!
That's the kind of thing you say. He said, making Garrick surprised with that statement.
Garrick looked up as he heard someone approaching, and he smiled as he saw Julian, but also frowned as soon as he saw someone walking beside Julian that he didn't know. The time is now 12:57, my dear, Garrick said as he looked at Julian. Cutting a bit too close, are we? He teased.
How do you smile and frown at the same time? It's gonna look great. Elim... Oh, that's helpful. Why couldn't you just do that? Elim, I want you to meet someone, Julian said as he gestured to Garrick. This is Garrick Williams. He and I met at Starfleet Academy, Julian said.
I see, Garrick muttered as he stood up and shook hands with the man before him. How did you two meet? He asked, and he didn't know why, but he didn't trust the man who was sitting beside his Julian. They're standing.
We met during lunch break, Julian said as he remembered the memory. One of my classmates introduced us. I had just gotten over my ex-girlfriend a few weeks ago, and my classmate knew that I was bisexual, so he thought of him, Julian explained.
I don't know why that sentence is hilarious. My classmate knew that I was bisexual. Wait, so the two of you were lovers during the academy? Garrick asked.
For only 2 years, Julian reassured him.
That's a short amount of time.
Don't worry, it was only 2 years.
You must admit, Julian, during those days were wonderful, Garrick replied as Julian shot him a look. I was planning to get engaged with Julian, but the misfortune happened, Garrick explained. That's why I love this story. The misfortune happened.
Oh god, not the misfortune. You never told me anything about this, Garrick replied as he looked at Julian.
It wasn't important, Julian said as he wanted to forget about what had happened during that day.
It wasn't important? Garrick repeated as his voice was raising, and Julian saw that people were beginning to stare.
Elim, I think you should tone your voice down, Julian said. Also, please act in character. No? Okay, fine.
No! Julian, I tell you everything ever since we've been together.
Please, like Garrick would ever tell him everything.
And this is how you repay me? By not telling me that you had a lover in the academy and that you two were engaged? What else were you keeping from me? A secret family? Garrick hissed as he knew he was just being jealous and ridiculous.
Well, if you're gonna be jealous and ridiculous and know it, don't be jealous and ridiculous. Everyone in the station knew about his relationship with Garrick, and pretty soon, if Garrick doesn't tone down, news will spread that something happened between the two of them during lunch. Elim, please, I beg you, I will explain everything later, Julian pleaded.
Tenses. You better, Garrick said angrily as he looked at the two men. I'll see you later, he said, and with that said, he left the Replomat without another glance back at Juliet and Garrick.
The hell are you doing? Julian asked angrily as soon as Garrick had left out of earshot.
Isn't it obvious? Garrick said slowly.
What is? Julian asked.
I'm still in love with you, Garrick replied, and with that, Julian's jaw dropped to the floor.
Literally!
To the floor.
Alright, new scene. How can you still be in love with me? We came to a mutual understanding years ago, and that was to break off our relationship, Julian exclaimed as he and Garrick were in Julian's quarters now, and they were discussing about what happened a little while ago.
Discussing it. Learn to use English well.
God, really?
Yes, but that was your decision. And after that little mishap, Garrick began.
Little mishap? Julian repeated angrily as he looked at him. You cheated on me, he snapped.
That was a misunderstanding. I was drunked, Garrick explained.
I might get drunked, too.
Drunked? I wish I could get drunked.
I caught you in bed with a man twice your age. Hell, he was one of our professors in the academy. Lucky for you that it was me who caught you and not someone else. You two would have been kicked out from the academy, Julian exclaimed.
And I'm grateful that you didn't, and I am also grateful that we stayed friends still after that, Garrick replied. Yeah,
why would you stay friends with somebody who was screwing one of your teachers?
Well, he was drunk.
Apparently. I'm sorry, I've never been drunk, but I don't think I would randomly screw one of my teachers, even if I was drunk.
I don't think I would either. I'd have to be pretty
entirely
drunk.
Positive that I would not.
Well, I guess it depends. Never mind. It wouldn't depend.
No, it would not. Where the hell am I? Oh. Yes, and it would remain that way because I have Elam, Julian replied.
And how long is that going to last, Julian? Until the war is over? Have you thought about the possibility that he might want to rejoin his own people once the war is over? Garrick asked.
Elam and I have been together for 2 years now.
Oh.
Hell, we've been friends for 6 years. I trust him, Garrick, and I want to marry that man someday, Julian admitted.
Julian, look around you. Do you know what's happening?
Look at your life. Look at your choices.
Do you know what's... Sassy gay friend, hey.
Oh, God. Hey, it works.
Do you know what's happening now? Garrick said slowly.
Julian looked around and to his awareness...
What?
What? Literally look around? Okay.
To my awareness.
Julian looked around, and to his awareness, he saw that he was now right in front of Garrick. Thank you. And he could feel the man's breath on him as he speak. I don't know what you want from me, Garrick. I just want to stay friends, that's all, Julian said as his breathing became erratic.
Is that really all you want, Julian? I think you know what you want from me, Garrick said.
Julian shook his head. No, he said determined. I have Elam to be with, he said.
Don't enter sentences and prepositions.
Don't do any of the things you're doing.
Prepositions are not words to end sentences with, bitch. See what I did there?
Yes.
Then you will stop me if I do this, Garrick said, and before Julian could stop or do anything, he was being kissed by someone else instead of pushing him away. He welcomed the kiss, and Julian even deepened the kiss as if there was no tomorrow. The only thing stopping them was air that they needed to breath, and Julian indeed was panting hard when the kiss was done too soon. Garrick smiled at this for him. That was wonderful, he said as he leaned his forehead against Julian's.
Julian smiled as he leaned against Garrick's own forehead. However, a chime was heard through the door as Julian suddenly backed away from Garrick.
Garrick!
Julian was about to ask who it was until Garrick interrupted him.
No, don't answer, he said.
Garrick, it may be someone important, Julian said as the chime still went through.
I think I know who it is, Garrick replied, and that made Julian cringe at the thought that it may be Garrick, and he suddenly felt guilty about what he had done.
Before Julian could say anything, the chime stopped. However, before Julian knew what was happening, the door opened, revealing Garrick, who had override the security lockout.
I could go to Odo for what you just did, Garrick said to Garrick, who entered the room. How does Garrick know who Odo is if he's new on DS9?
That doesn't even make sense. You're not welcome here. Julian, my dear, tell this man to leave, Garrick said.
Julian sat down at a nearby couch as he looked at the bickering men in front of him. He stayed quiet as the two bicker. For about 5 minutes, he had enough.
Right, don't show us them bickering or anything at all.
Garrick, Elam, please leave, Julian said calmly as the two men stopped their argument.
Julian, what are you saying? Garrick asked.
I have enough for one day, Elam. Please leave before I call security on the both of you, he said. The two men looked at one another and back at Julian as they saw that he was serious. The two had no other choice but to leave the room before Julian could say anything. Once out of the room, Julian sighed. I thought they left, not Julian. Misplaced modifier. Anyway, once out of the room, Julian sighed as he leaned back against the couch. What was he going to do now?
Okay. To be continued. Chapter 2.
Chapter... Okay, then. I don't want...
It's stupid,
to have to roll my R's. Yes, but it's delightful. Okay.
Alright, that could get confusing. Miles teased as Julian glared at him after he told Miles who was the other man's name. Yeah, it is confusing. Fuck you. Miles cleared his throat as he began talking again. What I mean is, I envy you, Julian. You have 2 men after you, he said.
Oh god, I'm not going to know that name. Oh my gosh. How can you envy me? You have Keiko, don't you? Plus, you have Molly and Kirayoshi.
That's his other kid. Those are his kids.
Oh, I thought he had women after her, but him. But
Yeah, I know.
Geez.
You have Molly and Kiriyoshi in an entirely different way.
Julian pointed out.
Yes, but I never had 2 women come after me, Miles replied.
Why would you want to? Okay, anyway. You mean 2 men, don't you? Julian asked.
Whatever. What I mean is, who do you want to be with? That Garrick's eye sounds trouble, Miles replied. If I were you, I won't go to him because he already broken my heart once. How would I know if he's going to do it again? And Garrick, well, he hadn't always been truthful to you, but he hadn't cheated at least yet. I don't trust Cardassians, but I would rather be with Garrick instead of Garrick, Miles said. It's your turn.
Miles, the thing is, I think deep down inside me, I still do love Garrick. If it weren't for that mishap, I might still be with him, Julian said. I like how they're using mishap as a euphemism for when he freaking cheated on me and was a man whore.
Mishap once, What are you going to do? Miles asked slowly.
I don't know. I just don't know, Miles, Julian said as he stared at the cup that was in front of him and he sighed unhappily.
Okay, new scene, which is a wonderful scene because for some reason Garrick and Jadzia are having a conversation. This doesn't usually happen in the show. Alright. I would be jealous if my ex gets to my husband, Jadzia Dax said as she was talking to Garrick in her quarters that she shares with Worf.
I just don't trust this Garrick Williams at all, Lieutenant, Garrick said. I did some checking up on him in the Starfleet database.
Garrick, how can you do that without a personalized authorization code? Jadzia asked with an eyebrow raise.
I have my ways, Garrick said with a teasing smile, but continued. There was nothing on it that's bad about him. He has a perfect record for lieutenant commander. I just don't know anything about his past relationships, though. It doesn't say in his profile. He said, "Yeah, because your past relationships totally affect your."
They're totally relevant and stuff. Yeah. Perhaps you should try contacting his friends, Jadzia suggested.
Lieutenant, are you giving me permission to spy on Garrick Williams? Garrick asked, surprised.
Look, Julian is my friend, and I don't want him getting hurt by him. I'm here for you if you need my help with anything, Jadzia said.
Thank you, Lieutenant, Garrick said.
Anything to help you and Julian, Jadzia said with a smile. Oh, and can I point something out that you cannot tell? Because you are not seeing the words, dear viewers. Instead of writing out the word lieutenant, they keep having just the LT, like the abbreviation for it, and it just looks so stupid.
It really does.
You do not do that.
I kind of wanted to just be like, Lieutenant. But I didn't.
Like, you'd do that if it was in front of someone's name, but when you're saying the word,
you would
like with doctor, you would never put DR in a sentence instead of the word doctor. Okay.
Nope.
Anyway.
Garrick, why are you following me? Julian asked as he had left Miles a few minutes ago, as Miles had to go back to Ops since it was Julian's free day. That makes sense.
Free days? No.
He decided to go to his quarters and rest for the remaining day.
Why are you letting me, Garrick asked with a smile. It's just pronounced like
What
that.
are you talking about? I'm not letting you follow me, Julian exclaimed.
Of course you are. You haven't pushed me away, Garrick said, and Julian realized now that they have just entered the turbolift together.
You should really pay more attention, Julian, if you're just suddenly realizing things. Look, Garrick, I just want us to be friends again. Nothing more, Julian replied as soon as the doors to the turbolift closed.
Really? Then you wouldn't mind if I do this, Garrick said, and before Julian could say anything, he was pushed against the wall of the turbolift, and his wrists were pinned as Garrick held him in place. Wait, hang on. So if he just wants to be friend, this wouldn't bother him?
Apparently.
Because my friends generally don't, shove me against walls and pin me
We
there.
don't?
No, unless I've blocked out all the memories of the times
I frequently pin my friends against walls. I don't do what I figure is about to happen, though. Oh god, I just saw the word. Oh.
I told you there are words I didn't want to say that are in this.
I'm so glad you got that. Okay, anyway, let me go, Julian cried as he struggled to get free, but Garrick was much stronger.
Garrick quickly let go of his other hand, but not before he made sure that his other hand grabbed both of Julian's wrists and pinned it against the wall. How does that work?
There are too many
other hands.
And he's
got an extra hand or something. You want this, I know you do. Oh yeah, because he's saying no. That's what that means. Yep. He said seductively, and before Julian could say anything, Garrick, oh god, I can't read this, began to circle one of his fingers around one of Julian's clothed nipples, my other least favorite word in English language, as he carefully tried not to touch the nub of it.
What?
Julian's breathing became erratic as he closed his eyes and he felt himself become aroused by it.
What? The nub? Oh god, I have this. I think I really am gonna say rooster instead of cock. No, I'm not. Oh,
Why? Go
fine.
on.
Garrick quickly... Oh, wait, that's the wrong... Alright, Julian knew he shouldn't be feeling like this with Garrick, but his body was telling him otherwise. Yeah, that's why it's mind over matter. Before Julian...
Don't worry, it doesn't actually get any dirtier than these paragraphs.
Before Julian could think, his nipple was pinched hard, and before Julian could cry out, Garrick made this chance as he quickly kissed Julian before he could make a sound as his mouth was opened a bit. Julian was so aroused that he didn't felt Garrick slipping his free hand toward his hardened cock that was hidden behind his clothing.
Okay, how would you not feel that happening?
I thought it was...
I mean, I was always sort of assuming you would feel things more in a situation like that. Well, anyway.
I like that it's hidden behind his clothing. Like, it's not like it's like just like it's clothed. It's hidden behind. It's hidden
there. I regularly hide my body in my clothing. Okay, Julian gasped as he felt Garrick squeezed his hardened cock. My other favorite phrase, as Julian moaned through the kiss. However, the moment was ruined as someone cleared their throat. Garrick broke off the kiss immediately, and he let go of Julian's wrists as he turned around, but Julian just stood there, panting at the sensation of the moment. 2 women were in front of them, and Julian knew one of them as Nurse Jabara. Shouldn't you be on duty? Julian breathed out as Nurse Jabara raised an eyebrow at him.
I'm off duty, she replied. I think Nurse Jane is on duty today, she added.
That was
good.
Really generic. Very well. Well, carry on, Julian said as he and Garrett got out of the turbolift.
Sir, if I may ask, the other woman began.
Julie, this isn't our place to say, Nurse Jabara hissed, and the turbolift shut between the 2 men and women.
By this time tomorrow, all of Deep Space Nine would know about what happened between us in the turbolift, Julian said.
Are you ashamed of what we just did? Garrick asked.
Of course I am. I shouldn't be cheating on Garrick, Julian exclaimed.
Garrick raised an eyebrow at that. I didn't know his last name was almost the same as my first name. You... Stop pointing it out! You usually call him by his given name, my dear. I'm sure you want this as much as I do, he said.
Yeah, that's why didn't he introduce him as Garrick?
I'm pretty sure he introduced him as Elam Garrick, yeah.
Yeah, so he would know. But
so he's an idiot, I guess.
And that's the problem right there, Julian said. I do not want it, but yet I do. He said as the 2 men went to Julian's quarters. Oh, that's smart. I can't cheat on you. That's why, even though you really continue to go against my wishes when I say no, we're going to go to my quarters.
In Garrick's shop.
Oh, you're Cardassian. I should notify about this to the Starfleet headquarters, the voice exclaimed in the computer console.
Before you do, I assure you I am not working for the Dominion, Garrick began.
Then what is this about? The voice asked with a snarl.
Because, yeah, you'd believe him. I'm not working for the Dominion. Okay. Oh, well, okay then.
Well, I did snarl.
I assume that you know Dr. Julian Bashir, Garrick asked.
Yes, he and I were roommates in the academy, and he was my lover for a few months' time.
Was he not?
The other replied, apparently
Julian's a little slut, jeez. I mean, I love him. I mean, I guess it's kind of in character.
Really?
Little bit.
I can't wait to get that far.
Except for all the men, but, you know, whatever, it's a TV show. It's not Torchwood. What about Garrick Williams? Garrick asked slowly.
The other snarled, He's a player.
He's a player.
He should be kicked out from that Starfleet uniform he wears, he exclaimed.
Yes, well, his here on Deep Space Nine. His getting awfully close with Dr. Bashir again, Garrick replied.
What? Look, I don't know who you are, but you have to keep the 2 of them apart. Garrick will do anything to get Julian. When that mishap happened between the 2 of them, all hell loose out with Garrick. Garrick, he almost killed a teacher here, the other explained.
Tell me, what's the mishap that I've kept hearing about them, Garrick asked.
You don't know? The other asked as Garrick shook his head. I'll tell you, if you tell me who you are, the other said as Garrick knew this conversation was going to last more than just a few minutes.
Yay. In the promenade, 1 hour later after Garrick's conversation.
Julie, I don't think this is such a good idea, Nurse Jabara said as she and her friend were walking towards Garrick's shop.
Sorry, I just spaced. He has to know. Do you know how flustered Dr. Bashir was? Julie asked.
But this wasn't our place to say. We could ruin their relationship, Nurse Jabara said.
Garrick will eventually find out the hard way if we don't tell him. You want them to be together, don't you? Julie asked. Why are you so invested in this?
Nurse Jabara sighed. I'll be watching and you will be telling, she said. Okay. I'm just going to say that to people.
I'll be watching but you will be telling. If that is what you wish, Julie replied as the two women entered the shop.
Garrick looked up to what he was doing. My dears, you look troubled. Is something wrong? He asked.
Julie took a deep breath. We just saw Dr. Bashir with this other man in the turbolift. I think they were both going to Julian's quarters, she said.
I see. Why are you telling me this? Garrick asked. Gee, I wonder why.
Dr. Bashir was flustered when we were about to enter the turbolift. I think that the two of them were doing something intimate before I interrupted them, Julie replied nervously.
Computer, locate Dr. Bashir and Garrick Williams, Garrick said.
Dr. Julian Bashir and Garrick Williams are in Dr. Bashir's quarters, the computer said.
Thank you for telling me, Garrick replied with a smile to the two women as he began to leave his shop.
Garrick, what about your shop? Julie asked.
Leave it. I won't be long anyway, Garrick replied, and he left the shop before the two women could say anything else.
Will he be all right? Julie asked softly.
I hope so. Let's stay here until he gets back. We owe him that much, Nurse Jabara suggested.
Okay, Julie replied, and the two women stayed in the shop as they waited for Garrick's return arrival. The end, because they haven't finished it.
They're not good at writing lemons, so don't expect one.
The hell? Yeah, it's pretty great, and there's 5 reviews. 3 of them are like, this is stupid, did you even speak English? And 2 of them are like, what happens next? I want to know.
I kind of do too, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, part of me does want to know what happens next.
I do want to know, but...
It's so terrible, but...
That I just...
Okay, but see, I don't know, this author is dumb, and she's written 183 stories.
Are they all that bad?
Well, I tried to figure it out because I looked at, like, the first one that she ever wrote to see if she'd improved since then. I keep saying she, I don't actually know.
Yeah, she's female.
She's in college. She's 23.
Well, she's in her 5th year.
In her 5th year at college. So.
I guess I wish I could do a 5th year of college.
But. Okay, so the first one is an Inuyasha fic. But yeah, I kind of tried to read it once. I don't know anything about Inuyasha except how to pronounce some of the names. Oh, come on, load.
Sometimes fanfiction's a bitch when it comes to trying to load. A lot of Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! I never got into that.
No, me neither. But anyway, even if we can't get onto it for me to show you, it's terrible because she hadn't learned paragraphs yet.
Oh god, I don't even want to look at that.
Like, okay, I think there are paragraphs, but it's one of those stories where a million different people will talk in one paragraph, and it's terrible.
I hate that.
So she's improved since then, but not much.
Let's see what else. I've never even heard of half this stuff. What's Beyblade?
I don't know, never heard of it.
Full Moon.
Whoa, I don't know what that is. Yeah, a lot of anime kind of stuff at first.
Star Wars.
Yay, I've heard of that.
Anyway.
Oh god, it's a Padme Obi-Wan. That's like my least favorite.
Really?
Thing ever.
We really need to find a Harry Voldemort ship sometime. If there is such a thing.
God, I know, right? Heck yeah. Okay, well, I guess that's pretty much it, because that story was stupid, and I don't know. It's not as stupid as some of the other ones, but it's still pretty stupid.
Yeah, we better go find some more terrible ones.
Yes.
Alright.
We will.
Choose.
We will certainly do. Choose.